Left-Wing Kingz. Listen, think, act, repeat.
Welcome to the Left-Wing King podcast. Today we're discussing the top 5 reasons black males support Donald Trump, Republican VP candidate Doug Burgum, and the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef. I am your head moderator in charge of HMIC Malik, and I'm joined today by my queen Walanda.
What up?
Queen Tina on the comments, and King Ace.
Yeah.
All right, folks, let's get into it. Donald Trump has undeniably left a significant mark on American politics. This dude's entry into politics has Americans thinking differently about how they vote. Now, one particular demographic that seems to be making a total about face on how they vote are black males. So today we're going to go through the top 5 reasons that black males are deciding to vote for Donald Trump. Reason number 1, Trump will improve the economy. Economic issues, particularly the cost of basic needs like food, gas, and more, have been cited as a significant reason that black males support Trump. What are your thoughts, Walanda?
Well, if you're looking for a Trump 2.0 economy, his focus really isn't on, well, let me take it back. He's thinking about tariffs. He's going to be talking about that again. And again, if we're looking at the black man and him being the head of household and being able to afford food, I would think if you're raising costs, right, on tariffs and things that are coming into the country, that would actually increase costs. But that's what he plans on doing because he feels like our country is being taken advantage by others. So he wants to make sure that doesn't happen, but that's going to increase the cost and tariffs, which therefore would pass that cost on to the consumer. The other thing he says, massive tax cuts. He talks about it all the time. So when you think of major corporations and the higher people in higher tax brackets, I don't know how that's going to help the black male or any other male or any other female or again, 99% of the country. How is that going to impact them? Right. Because the tax cuts, again, are not for the people, which is 99% of us.
Pays the tax.
Exactly. Yep. So just that 1% would be benefiting from that. So once again, and then he also talks about the curtailment of immigration, which you're like, well, how does that impact the economy? These people have jobs that nobody wants, guys. Okay. So the ones that are picking your fruit, your oranges, your apples, you know, the ones you see the custodial staff and things of that nature, those are the jobs we're talking about. And so if you decrease immigration, again, you actually are decreasing the labor force. And then how does that impact you as well? You don't have anybody, you know, as far as doing these particular jobs. Exactly. And then costs, again, rise. So you have to look at the I want to say the long term. You know, you just think of you go into your grocery store, which I agree because we just went shopping yesterday and I spent $100 and I'm like, why is that happening? But doing the research, some of the higher labor costs is due to manufacturers. Exactly. and the beef and steak and that their cattles are smaller. So again, they don't really talk about that stuff in the news, but you got to go research the information on what is causing the rise in prices. And then you have what's called
shrinkflation.
Right. Well, you also have greedflation, which meaning your corporations are actually capitalizing on the fact that you are struggling, right? But you still got to eat. So you're going to pay the prices, and you pay the prices. And what happens to them is they benefit again on the profiteering. So once again, just some economic that he says this is what he's going to do. And if you believe that that is going to, you know, help you some kind of way in your everyday life, then yeah, go ahead and vote for him. But Trump 2.0 doesn't sound very beneficial to the middle class or the 99% of us, including those black males.
Yeah, I mean, we're going, we talked about this, but we talked about the working class people. And I said, a couple episodes ago, Trump's not your guy. Still talking about brothers, these black guys. I don't know who the hell they are.
I do.
Well, I mean, Trump's not your guy, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get down to, let's just be real and talk to you. And anybody is more than welcome to get on this show and call and talk to us about it and prove me wrong. How he's your guy. Or whatever the case may be, or a typical brother, he's not doing anything to benefit you. And you say, well, what has Biden done? Well, Biden's created jobs. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not, the economy is in a great position right now. The stock market is up and going. And a lot of people forget where we're at. And a lot of people who don't understand politics, Cardi B, don't understand that, like, when Trump was in office, and I'm not saying she said this, but she said some crazy stuff. We can get in that later. But when you were getting supplement checks and all that stuff, and money, and stealing PPP loans and all that crazy shit, you think Trump did? He didn't do that shit. COVID did that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was just the dude that allowed COVID to happen and didn't prepare us for it. That allowed the government to have to start throwing you a lot of money and put us in a deep deficit, which ruined the economy. That, to believe it or not, all the inflation and stuff that you're feeling now is the repercussions of the money and stuff that we had to do back during COVID. You know what I'm saying? He's not coming in with a plan to make things better for you. Ask him. He's not. Read the 2025 project. He's not coming in trying to make things better for working class people. It's definitely not black people. You know what I'm saying? It's not happening. Nobody who supports him is doing anything like that. You know, you can't point it out. And don't try to tell me, he donated to HBCUs. Well, a lot of white people donate to HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? But that's not helping the black community. That's not doing anything. A lot of y'all even go back and say, Obama didn't do anything for the black community. Guess what? Have you figured it out? The president, 9 times out of 10, they don't usually narrow it down or gut it down like that. They try to do it on a broad perspective. So everybody can kind of benefit from it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, people think that, I don't know, that I guess that, Obama should have went in there. Life should have just got better for black people. Just don't understand how the presidency actually works. And no matter what Donald Trump and his people say, they ain't going to do shit for you. You know what I'm saying? Plain and simple.
Yeah. So let's get into reason number 2, because, we talked about improving the economy, and it kind of goes hand in hand with reason number 2. Reason number 2 is that Trump will help black business owners. So Trump's stance on the economy, taxes, and regulation will help black male business owners keep more money in their pockets, get things like more PPP loans and things like that. So what do you say to that, Ace?
No, and believe it or not, his policies usually deal with business. You know what I'm saying? And it's usually like with corporate taxes and business taxes and stuff like that. So there is some benefit when it comes to that. And I'm not going to lie and say that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that if you're a small business owner, it's really going to make any difference for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because small businesses have different challenges. I think that if you're a thriving company that's mid to large, you know what I'm saying? I can see some, you're going to see some benefits of that. You know what I'm saying? And Trump runs from the Republican Party, so that's what they're about. So they're about business, looking at business taxes and corporate taxes and cutting that stuff for you. But their theory that's been out since Reagan of trickle-down economics hasn't benefited anybody after that. So he's going to come up with that same spectrum. So yeah, it should benefit businesses. If you do own a business, but you're going to have to be probably at a certain level. Yeah. If you selling wings at the club, bruh, it's not going to affect you at all.
Hey, the only one thing I can see in that case is what we already alluded to. It was the loans, but people will tie directly to that. Well, I got a loan to help my business when he was the president. What is Biden giving me since I've been the president? Now, you're 100% right. If it weren't for COVID, them loans probably would never saw the light of day. No. Right?
Yeah, so cutting taxes on corporations and high income individuals, that's been like the staple of the Republican Party, right?
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't impact 99% of us. I will say that on the corporate tax cut, which does expire, just to let y'all know, in 2025, so you got one more year of the tax cuts, he had lowered it from 20 to 21% from 35%. So he gave them a very, very large tax cut in comparison. So again, most of us middle class, believe it or not, pay between 18 and 22%. So we're paying more than the corporation itself on there. So Biden wants to raise that back to 28%. So like you said and touched on, if you're a larger corporation, yes, you are benefiting. Your oil companies, your mass production companies, they are benefiting quite a bit because again, you got individuals that are paying more in taxes than a whole corporation that's worth $1 billion. I'm not a billionaire by far.
Let me ask you a question real quick, not to interrupt you.
No, it's good.
So Exxon,
right.
They got a tax cut. They're paying about 21%.
21.
I don't know. The last time I checked the gas prices, they haven't went down, right?
No.
That's the proof that trickles down
greed.
economics.
That's called greed inflation.
Don't work.
because
they're making money.
and
off-
Biden don't sit on the board of
No.
Exxon or nothing like
No,
that. He
no
don't benefit if
president does.
Exxon makes any profits.
No, sir.
So why do we think the president has anything to do with gas prices?
They don't. Okay, no. Okay, so they don't directly, but lobbyists, right? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? This it's where the lobbyists come in. So people always get mad at the individual. Just think about it. Why would a president want gas prices to be high?
I don't think
That
any
is not
president
to
wanted
their
that.
benefit.
Okay.
Right? That's not to their benefit. They want people to vote for them. And the
Right.
people come out and say gas prices this, but they don't have no direct
Well,
impact, and they cannot control the gas companies and tell them what their prices are going to be
All right, so just
legally.
one more question. So if I had a president that I knew was going to cut my taxes and make it lower, wouldn't I lower my gas prices when he's in office to make him look better
Exactly. But
to the
you
people?
right. That's my point. Some people get mad and they're like, well, he was in president, it was lower.
I just wanted to play dumb black guy right now.
Yeah.
I like to
Okay.
vote for Trump. I wanted
Appreciate
to
it.
be that guy.
Well, I'm going to play dumb black guy, and I'm going to ask a question too.
Yeah.
Why don't you click that like button? Click the like button, okay? And make sure that you share this content on all these social media platforms, and make sure that you subscribe to Left-Wing Kingz. All right, let's talk about reason number 3. So
right.
reason number 3, Democrats aren't doing enough to help Black folks. Black folks feel that the Democratic Party had their chance and they didn't earn our vote, and they haven't delivered anything to us, so we're going to move on. Ace, do these voters have a point?
Well, I mean, well, what are you looking for? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The Democratic Party, we ain't overcame yet, if that's what they asking for. I mean, I don't know, but and you know, like I said, it's an argument on both sides. You can see some things that didn't happen, that didn't work for Black folks, but you can see some things that are happening also. I think right now, what the Democratic Party is doing better than the damn Republican Party is they're governing. You know, they are trying to pass legislation that's actually going to do something. Now, is all of it better? We don't know yet because it hasn't come into play, but they're at least doing something. The Republican Party, they're not passing anything that's going to help us out. So I don't understand why you're going to support a party or try to be behind a party that doesn't have any legislation working towards helping anybody. Now, I mean, that sounds like, you know, like a politician, because I'm not even talking about the Democrats yet. I talked about the Republicans. So, but anyway, the infrastructure bill that got passed, I think that's big. That Biden did, and the Democrats got passed. You know, I think that's going to help us out in the long run. I don't think we feel that now, but I think that it is the Inflation Reduction Act that came out. I think that's going to try to help, but unfortunately, it's kind of like if you're talking about governing and trying to pass something that the government's going to try to do, it's not going to help if you put in another guy who's going to come in and shut that down. You know what I'm saying? So we may not even see the benefit of that. So those answers aren't there yet. That's why my answer right now is it's kind of hard to say, are Democrats doing anything for people yet? Yeah, I mean, they're doing stuff and they're passing legislation right now. We're just not feeling it yet. Now we are seeing some, we're seeing, jobs go up. We're seeing some inflation go down. We're seeing the stock markets get better. We're starting to see the benefits of that right here at the end of the term. But just like any other president, once they put things in, they get to rolling on things at the end of their term, now they need to get back in office to make that happen, to try to push it over to the next level. So yeah, the Democrats are, they put some legislation in play that should help us out if they can get over the next hump. I just don't see the Republicans in no way, shape, or form doing anything for you right now, trying to pass any legislation other than going back and forth and talking about, fake eyelashes and, blonde butch bodies that going back and forth and just charging chaos. Shout out to Jasmine Crockett. You know what I'm saying? But they're not getting anything done in Congress.
Yeah, I want to say that it's real for them. So when you go to the grocery store and you can't afford your bread and your milk and your eggs, that's real. I mean, it is really happening. I can't say that it's not, because I've gone to the store a couple of times. So I think they feel like a sticker shock, definitely. And then they feel like I'm working hard, but I'm not getting anywhere. Yeah. So unemployment is decreased, right? So everybody has jobs, but these jobs aren't paying. And that's, again, another issue. So yeah, I got a job, but then I work to try to pay my groceries, and 25% or 30% of my money is going towards that. So these are real problems that real people are feeling. And I feel like they don't feel like the Democrats are what are you doing about that? Yeah, okay,
Right.
so unemployment went down, but I got a job, but I still can't pay to eat.
Right.
So that's an issue. I think they're also tired of the culture wars. We've been fighting again, the whole black white issue and reparations and stuff, and it's getting old. It's like, okay, so are you going to do something for us, or you're not going to do something for us? I think they're tired of the conversation. I think they're tired of the back and forth, and they just want things to happen. They want change to be evident for them. The last couple of things I would say is, what are we doing for other countries? So we got Ukrainians, we got the issue with Gaza. They're like, okay, so you helping and sending billions of dollars over and over and over to another country, to different people. What about us? We've been fighting and crying and fighting and crying and fighting and crying and trying to put ourselves in positions where we have voices, and nothing's being done. And so, and Democrats are in power, and what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so we see this day to day. The media plays out. The media, it shoves it in your face that, hey, we're going to give money to Ukrainians. Hey, we got to help the Ukrainians. What are we doing for the Ukrainians? And Black people are like, what are you doing for us?
Right.
We built you. What are you doing for me? It's my time. When's my time coming? And I think, again, people keep saying the conversation keeps going up, keeps circling back around, but it's because nothing is changing for them. They don't feel that. And as far as with Biden, I mean, he has done some great things. Again, I mean, for me personally, like I said, I talk about the student loan situation and helping people get out of that type of debt. But then you got people who don't have their education, but you got people who aren't educated. So yeah, you help me,
one right here.
Right? But you like that doesn't benefit everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's not speaking to everyone, and I have to understand that. And we as a people have to understand. I just think you need to help people with skill. Period. Like, how are we going to be in society and be successful for ourselves, whether we went to college or not? But they need to be speaking to everyone, just not a segment of the Black community. And I think right now he's only speaking to a segment of people on some of the things that they have done for us, as a country.
Yeah, I think it's important that what you just brought up, it's about immediacy, right? To all those things you just kind of touched on, to me, in my mind, that's the first thing that I think, because you think about infrastructure bill is great. And like you said, Ace, you said in the long run, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But what about right now? Like Black men want you to stop police harassment now. Black men want their reparations checks like now. If you're going to give billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine, give me some money now. You're sending them money now. It's the immediacy. It's not there. And that's what's causing people to say, you ain't doing nothing for us, so we moving on. You say you are, but like you said, Wanda, in the news, it's in your face. We're sending another aid package here and there and blah, blah, blah. What about the people right here at home, man? And I think if there was something that could be done to like impact Black males now, and he got that path, then that would be great. Another problem that we kind of think about is, I'm not going to say Joe Biden. I'm talking about all Democrats, because Joe Biden just can't go in there unless he does an executive order. He can't do it by himself. He has to have everyone help him. But what are the Democrats doing? At least put a bill out there that makes it show us that you're trying to do something, but we're not seeing that. So it causes some issues. But I do want to get some comments. Thanks, Tina. Before we go on to the next reason real quick, I want to give acknowledgement to Kerry K. Zaggin. He says, salute y'all. He's out there on Facebook.
What up? Manhood.
Yes, sir. Manhood is a skill set. Check out his channel, y'all.
Manhood is a skill set.
Stephen McClintock, he says,
what up, Steve?
He only really helped big business and the rich long term. Did nothing for the working poor or middle class. Just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Gave us poor folks crumbs while the rest feasted. And that's, I guess he's talking about Mr.
The American
Trump.
oligarchs. That's what he's building, bro.
Yeah.
Check your history.
We got my man Al Roden, my step brother from another mother, on the line. What's up, Al? He says, what's up, y'all? I'm gonna shout out. And then Al also said, promises upon promises from all parties until they get elected and get comfortable. After all, that's when the promises stop, and they go into whatever the hell they want to do. And then Al said, Can't trust them, like Public Enemy said a long time ago. No doubt on that one, bro.
Last little comment.
That's since the beginning of time with these politics. I mean, the politicians. You know, say that the Romans had the same damn problem. You see, Caesar got stabbed in the back. You know what I'm saying? So
definitely,
yeah, no, that's definitely a real statement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Only thing I want to say is I think Black voters are looking at how they lived 4 years ago. And some people do feel like they were in a better position. Like you said, like the gas prices were a little bit different, inflation wasn't at all-time high. But once again, you got to remember, what did we just come out of? We had pumped all this money. Most of y'all got free checks somewhere, so you had a little extra cash anyway that you didn't do anything for. Right, you weren't working. You were staying at home. That ain't coming
back. Let me tell y'all that. That's not coming back.
No, we're in a
like
different
Trump
era.
ain't gonna get elected and be like, y'all can stay home and I'm gonna send you a check. That's not happening.
Exactly. So I just think we need to remember where we were and where we are now and what happened and caused some of those changes. And so again, anybody who came right behind, that 2020, I was like, oh, they're gonna ride it for a little bit. But now here we are, feeling the wrath of pumping all that extra money. And they said that. They said this is gonna cause inflation. Be careful what we're doing.
Yeah.
And they said it, and here we are. So we're trying to live through it and trying to get back on track. So just remember that the why you might have felt like you were living a little bit better at the time and what was in place and what we had been through.
Yeah.
And living a little bit better. There was a human cost to that.
Right.
Like a lot of people died for that check.
Exactly.
Like it didn't come for free.
No,
yep.
they sure did.
Like so. I'm sorry.
No, that's good, man. That's a great point. Reason number 4, Joe Biden ain't the right one. So black male voters have a negative perception of Joe Biden based on his past, some of the things he said, how he carries himself. Some people could refer to that as his age, and his lack of action supporting black folks. Walanda, what do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are just angry over the fact. If you look at his history, okay, so we know he's been in Congress for a long period of time. Did he dibble and dabble with segregationists? He sure did. But a lot of other people did too. The one thing I do respect him on, right? I respect him. At least he's learned from his experiences. So he had to, it had to be a running mate to the first Black or African American president. So I respect him in the fact that yes, he might have had some of these specific views that they were concerned about, but he's evolved from that, and I respect that. He's been around the Black man, the Black woman, who's actually next to him right now. And so I think his perception on things have changed. So I do understand where you might have some reservations from him, from his past and his age, because we know what era they come from, right? We know what times he was living in, and we know things that he has said in his past. But what I would say is focus on his now as well. I'm not saying your past doesn't impact you, but what is he doing for us now? What are the changes that he's making? What is his conversation? What are his words speaking to us? So in that respect, so just remember, I'm not saying forget the past by any means, but I'm saying, but we do need to focus on how he's carrying himself in the present. Also, again, just the viewer, we have a younger population now that's voting, and they are very concerned about what's happening in Gaza and what's happening in Ukraine, so they're really on top of those kind of things and what's happening to Palestinians. Again, trying to relate to Palestinians to the Black population and the impact that, the world has had on us. So I think they have more empathy. And I think Biden needs to speak to some of these things. Can't run from it. You got to, deal with it head on there. So, yeah, I just think a lot of it is just past experiences. His past is coming to haunt him. So, but we do also need to focus on the now and the present, what he's doing for us.
Yeah, let me remind y'all that Trump and Biden is old. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Trump just got better makeup artists and get his hair done, and he's an entertainer. Y'all remember that? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's like I said, it's how he carries himself.
Yeah, no,
there's a big difference.
No, look. Yeah, Biden is rocking your granddaddy old. Like he's old. Like Trump, looking like Sexy Beast on that show and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he's it's two different olds. You know what I'm saying? But his ass, I guarantee you, dog. I guarantee you, man, if we could like go home with Donald Trump and see him just break down, take off all that makeup and shit, he an old motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna get you sucker when she pop a leg off.
You take that wig off and all that shit and wash that makeup off his face. I bet that nigga look old as fuck, looking like a crypt keep up in his mouth. Let's go there with that, man. Yeah, just be real. So let's put it out there. Yeah, they both old. So let's go ahead and like Biden was like in preschool and Trump was crawling. You know what I'm saying? Like they that close. You know what I'm saying?
But let me put you like this: if you go in an old folks' home and you see a group of old folks sitting at the table and they all 80 years old and they playing spades or something. But then you look over there in the corner, there's another 80-year-old in a chair like this hunched up.
But I don't think
Biden, nigga.
I don't think Biden
playing spades against Trump. That's the difference.
Hey, Biden might be playing shuffleboard. You know what I'm saying? But we know Trump grabbing the nurse's ass. You know what I'm saying? We in the damn. You know what I'm saying?
What they
see. No, we don't know what they see. But understand they both in the damn nursing home. Let's put it that way. And just because Trump got better medicine, don't mean he ain't as old as damn Biden is. So let's be real. That's what I'm saying. But I want to, so that's basically it. So, but I want to take it from another angle, and I always, black people, and think about if we just want to go black, like who's doing better for black people? Let's just be real. Biden rode with Obama.
Yeah.
Obama elected Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
All right. So we just want to be superficial, but I've always said, understand a lot of the push against Biden, a lot of the going against his age, trying to pull out how racist he was back in the 70s or whatever. A lot of that's an attack. And I think the attack on Biden is more the fact of being an attack on Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, I'll be honest with you, a lot of white people would be in Biden's corner if he had a white running mate. I always said if he probably had Gavin Newsom as his running mate, he'd probably be blowing Trump out the water right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot, and I think black people need to understand and know that that's part of the push on that.
Right, because there's people who don't like her, but they can't articulate why. I said, why didn't you like her?
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that talk against Biden or going against Biden because of Kamala. They're like, to me, a hidden gem in the age argument is that what if he dies? Who's the president? The black lady. See what I'm saying? Seriously.
I feel you.
And I think a lot of
so you think more of the black or more of the woman?
Well, I think more of the black and the woman. I'll be honest with you. I think it's both equal. But I also think that a lot of I ain't gonna say white people. I think a lot of other races, that's part of the issue. He's too old. What happens if he dies in this term?
Then she's the
president. You know what I'm saying?
That might scare them.
Well,
I feel
what you're saying, but like I don't know. You might be right, but I'm trying to compartmentalize it by just looking at black males, because that's what I'm really focused on with this. Is like, do the black male care if Kamala becomes president? I don't know. Do they?
Well, my thing is this. My thing is when we're talking about black people and looking at Biden, you know what I'm saying? Like they're saying like, hey, why wouldn't I vote? Why are they going against Biden? Well, my thing is a lot of the problem is that like they're saying that he doesn't do nothing for black folks or whatever the case may be. Right. But what I'm saying is like a lot of the reasons people are going at him is because what he is doing for black folks. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't looking at it from that angle. They're looking at it as just following the fucking leader or whatever the hell the reason they think that voting for Trump or getting in line with him makes things better for him. They're not looking at what may be the issue, what people are saying the things or saying that he has age problems and all this. What's the real spin behind it?
Well, I do want to talk about like the last reason. I think this might be a different spin that we talk about reason number 5. So reason number 5 is black males can relate to Trump's legal issues. They have empathy for him. So Trump is being persecuted by law enforcement just like black males. And they feel empathy. They want to be on his side because of this. So how do you feel about that, Ace?
I think it's superficial. Just because NWA wrote "fuck the police" don't mean we all don't like the police and law enforcement. So
exactly.
If you having law issues or law problems, we just on your side because you one of us now. That's very superficial. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not, there's some black people that never been to jail.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I would say this we're talking about black males supporting him, and these might be ones who have gone to jail.
Yeah,
not like what the perception is. We're talking about real support, man. There are actually black men who are like, I got pulled over by the police and I got harassed, and so I know they do it. I went to court and I got railroaded, so I know they do that shit. And I know they try to get your ass, and now they're trying to get him. I'm not talking about me, you, or whoever else that ain't been in jail. There's black males who support him because They have gone through what he's going through, and they have empathy for that. They can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, they haven't went through what he went through. No,
I'm not saying he hasn't done all the stuff.
I see
I'm
what you're
saying
saying.
the police. I'm not saying tit for tat, man. But what I'm saying is, I've been harassed by police.
Yeah.
So have some other people out there.
No,
It
definitely.
may be superficial. Like
Yeah.
that's a stupid ass reason to me.
Yeah.
that's like very surface. Like there's no like
There's no
substance to that
comparison.
reason. Right. Exactly. But that's their reason.
Dog, you ain't you'll never catch a case after being in court or whatever the case may be and be able to go play golf at Mar-a-Lago and travel the world.
Or like dude
and,
yesterday, Scotty Scheffler
Yeah.
dragged a policeman.
Yeah.
It was on a golf course 3 hours later.
Exactly.
Nigga, it took forever to process me for a speeding ticket when I had a warrant for an unpaid speeding ticket. It took a whole day.
You'll never get that.
This
You'll
nigga
never
almost
get
killed
that.
a policeman.
Yeah, you'll never get that. Here's another thing. The superficial argument. I always said this. Have you ever seen like black dudes and they'll be like, or you'll see somebody post something and they'll be like, free Pookie or whatever. We know Pookie's a killer. Like, no, leave Pookie ass in prison. You know what I'm saying? So that's superficial to think, oh, well, you know what? You know, the law's against us. So no, sometimes these people did it. And a lot of the shit that Trump did, he did this shit. It's just they're trying to prove it. But he did it. You know what I'm saying? He's around it. Where there's smoke, there's fire. They love to say that shit, right? So, nah, like if you looking at it from that aspect, it ain't the same, bro. You know what I'm saying? It ain't the same. Ain't nobody rolling around that I know got 91 cases. Trump got it so hot. He got like 4 or 5 courts rolling at the same time. Like right now today, he got caught in different places. He got people that did his dirty work, that like Eastman, they was in court like in Arizona. While he in court in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like who you know can be holding down 2 damn courts down in the country and they can roll around and just live how they want to live. Your ass to be in jail.
Well, I think we shifting to a different topic, really, because you talk about like whether he did it or not versus they gonna support him because the police are trying to fuck with him.
Well, my thing is because they coming from a so superficial angle with the law enforcement thing, like, nah, man, this is different. This is different. Stop looking at like, oh man,
there's motherfuckers that's guilty that still feel the same way though.
Yeah,
I mean, like
exactly.
You said, free Pookie, that motherfucker went to jail, nigga. He
but
somebody.
Pookie did that shit. You know
but
what I'm saying?
still, they still love Pookie. Still feel like he get railroaded.
I know you love Pookie, but let's be real, the nigga did that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't support that bullshit. No, that nigga did it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everything's not every time the law is hitting you up, it ain't because they like persecuting you and shit. Like, believe it,
we got a problem with that as black people.
But no, people been persecuted, but there's some situations that ain't been persecuted, and
that.
Donald Trump ain't one of them.
I know that.
So
I know what you're saying is correct. You're 100% right, man.
Yeah.
But as black people, we got to stop doing that, though. We got to stop supporting Pookie when we know he killed a motherfucker and putting that shit because that's why they feel that way about Trump. They just feel the same way.
Yeah, I want to say he's saying he's discriminated against.
Right.
The legal system is corrupt. Now he did point out that the legal system is corrupt.
People are getting discriminated. I'm being discriminated.
Right, because he feels his corrupt systems can lead to great evil. So he feels like it's just way too much. Like, yeah, I might have did a little something, but I didn't do all this. So that is his take, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's how he feels. And some people do feel like that. They be like, the system needs to be. It needs some change. There is some corruption to the system itself. And, most black populations who've been to jail, they can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, nobody's announcing that, but he ain't seen the corrupt part of the system.
No.
He's getting a whole bunch of breaks.
Right. I think Trump's an anti-black tyrant and the poster boy for modern racism. That's how I feel about him. So I don't understand how they relate to him. We got to remember, he falsely accused the Central Park Five, still stands ground on that, right? So somebody who will relate to him thinking, well, where is the empathy for these people who weren't even guilty? And you still like go to jail. They deserve to be in jail. They're black men. They did this. They didn't do it, right?
Right.
Yeah, just some of the things that he's done. I'm just like, wow. But that was the biggest one. And then his example of he felt like his own impeachment trial was being lynched. You compared your impeachment trial to lynching. That just shows to me the ignorance of it. You have no empathy to what the black plight has been. So I'm like, you're in a whole different world if you think impeachment was the same thing as being lynched as a black man or
and
woman
he did that shit.
or children, right? And
exactly.
he did right.
And
damn, Mitch McConnell let you off.
Yeah, he's publicly.
Now that's old. That son of a bitch.
Right. He's public dined with nationalists, white nationalist guys. And he
Mhm.
gets his money and donors from these people. So no, I don't understand how they can relate and feel like,
That's hitting where it really hurts. Holocaust
relate to
deniers.
Trump,
He's
right.
rolling around with Holocaust
yes.
deniers.
And to this day, like this is present day things that are happening with him. But then he's like, but the black man can relate to me because I'm in court and I feel like I'm being railroaded, or they're just coming after me because I'm Trump. And so he's saying you're coming after him because he's Trump versus coming after somebody because this color of their skin.
Right.
But I don't understand it, but maybe I can understand why some people would feel it's excessive, you know, like all his court cases, all his indictments. But again, if you did it, well, here we are.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem.
You open the door. You open Pandora's
So,
box, man, and it came out. So
you know.
I do want to give a shout out real quick. My man Dion Navy on the line. Y'all know Dion Nav, otherwise known as. He kind of you taking us back to the Kamala conversation that you were having about like why some people don't want Biden because they're kind of like, well, because the next option is Kamala.
Yeah.
Well, Dion said, if you look at Kamala's record in California, you would understand why people don't like her.
I heard that argument before.
There is a lot of that stuff with her as the laws that she made.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't. You know, that's a whole nother show. We're gonna start talking about.
And we don't want that shit again. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I know she feels
bad.
A lot of I hope she feels bad about. She fucked with a lot of niggas out there, but neither here nor
Shout
there.
out to Dion, man. I'm glad he commented and showed up, man. It's big love.
Yeah, that's my man. He coming back to San Antonio, as a matter of fact, just in case you did.
I got some
shit! I just put your business out there. My bad, dog.
I got some.
I don't know if you know. I don't know if you wanted everybody to know that. Look, women in San Antonio gonna be going crazy. Women in high school used to love that nigga, boy. Anyway, he know it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about subject number 2. Doug Burgum.
I roll.
So,
I'll roll.
While the July 15th deadline to select a Republican running mate fast approaches, the field is still full of potential vice president candidates. One of them that seems to stand out for the crowd is North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Now, is standing out from the crowd a good thing or is it a bad thing? Walanda, who is Governor Burgum and what are his political views?
Well, he's the North Dakota governor that most people don't know about. He was first elected in 2016. I'm gonna give you some of his stances because he's kind of in the middle of the road of some, to me, and more conservative or extremist on others. He did sign a 6-week abortion ban, but he doesn't believe it should be a national ban, but he would sign it for his state. And North Dakota doesn't feel like every state should have to follow.
Ain't nobody in North Dakota.
Ain't nobody, right? North Dakota's pretty small, y'all. On the border crisis and immigration, he deployed state national guards to come help Texas, right? And their immigration problem. He believes securing the southern border is a matter of a national security. So he does think the southern border is something that needs to be addressed. As far as crime and criminal justice reform, he suggested a small town values could help reduce gun crime. So, and he's a gun enthusiast as far as I'm concerned.
You need one in North Dakota.
Yeah.
That's the bears and moose and shit. You know,
right. Moose. He has the Second Amendment sanctuary state. So do know that he's all for the gun toting.
Once again, you need one in North Dakota. Should be living in a log cabin. Shit.
Positive. Stance on Israel and Palestine. He does support military aid for Ukraine, but not a blank check. So he feels that we should be a little bit more conservative in the money that we're given. But still. And then on economy and inflation, he will lower inflation, didn't really say how, and gas prices and reduce the cost of living.
You don't control gas prices.
Yeah,
bro.
so I don't understand. He didn't really say, he just said a general statement. He will lower inflation and he wants to be energy independent.
Exxon ain't cutting their profit because you get in office.
No. And then on the teacher shortage, he's a champion of school choice. So shout out to teachers. He is not for public education. Believe it or not, we already offer school choices in the world. So he's more for vouchers and privatization and making profiteering off of education and kids and students.
Yeah.
All right. So that was him. And he's self-made, just to let you know, kind of. Not like Trump, so he is self-made millionaire. He has made money. Microsoft, yes, he did sell that business. He became the president of Great Plains Software, then sold it in 1984 to Microsoft, and now he's worth over $100 million.
He's self-made. Where you get the loan from?
No, they said he's a builder. He's a businessman. That, I mean, he didn't come from like a lots of wealth. I'll put it that way. Like
check his records.
as far as his as far as his
Probably
family.
got a rich uncle. Gave him
Yeah.
some money.
I'm just saying.
Self-made.
Said
You know,
he's more
they throw that self-made around a lot. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So,
Well, I don't think he has a family of rich people.
like I'm saying, he didn't come from rich money. So
Right.
he's the first
Right.
person that's rich.
Right.
But
New money.
Yeah.
There you go.
But how did he get his money just depends. Well, who knows? Who cares about
Right.
that? But yeah, you know, the Project 2025, the first thing they're going to do is get rid of the Department of Education so they can monetize our educational system and give it to rich people and make rich people richer, trying to teach our kids.
Now making money off of.
And this idiot supports that. I mean, Doug Burgum, I mean, I don't know my opinion of him. He was the guy at the end at the vice president. I mean, the presidential debates, the Republican primaries, and didn't know him then, don't really know him now, know a little bit about him. You know, we kind of mentioned that North Dakota's got like 3 electoral votes. So I don't think he brings a lot to being a person on the ticket. I don't think Trump doesn't need help strengthening the base. The base already loves him. He needs to, try to get somebody who's going to work in the middle of the field for him. And probably
I think that's who Doug Burgum might be, that middle of the road guy. He's conservative, but he has some liberal.
I mean, but no, he looks good on paper to me, but I don't think he has enough punch to where if I'm a middle of the road on the fence guy, that Doug Burgum does enough that Trump doesn't already do to make me kind of vote for Trump, is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I mean, he says some things that are good, but then I've heard him have talking points where he's just really Trump's mouthpiece and just trying to support him and just getting ate up on the thing because he doesn't have an answer for anything. I don't think that he smooths it out to the point. I think he talks towards the base good, what they do. I think he fits that category good, but I don't think he carries enough electoral votes. And I don't think he talks enough outside the box to where he can gain some of those independent voters or moderate voters that are kind of on the fence. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, but it's just like the Texas crisis thing. People up north, let me tell you something. There's no crisis down here. I'm in Texas. We have a immigration problem. We've been having one. I've been having one my whole life. You know what I'm saying? So that's nothing. But it's not like immigrants are running across the border and just, raping and pillaging down here in Texas or anything where you got to send the National Guard. We got a National Guard. We got an idiot that'll put them on anybody. He puts them on college students that haven't even set up their dang protest yet. So we know we in Texas, we good. Everybody got a gun down here. I guarantee you we ain't got no crisis where people are running across the border. So you sending people from North Dakota down here is just a gesture. You trying to act like you're doing something. Just like those idiots that drove all the way down here and saw, hey man, I'm at the border, ain't nothing happened. Yeah, you're right. Because we got a whole border patrol down here. You know what I'm saying? So stop with that one. And he supports that. So that's kind of my take on him a little bit. So
yeah. So what do you think about his self-made businessman status? Do you think that'll help him win over Trump and Trump might select him because he kind of sees eye to eye with him on that stance?
Self-made. Like I said, once again, it sounds good on paper. I'm self-made. I can say this and that and yada yada yada. I don't think that it helps him with Trump don't need him to support the base. I just don't see how he appeals to anybody in the middle. That's just my thing about it. And even with him saying he's self-made and he's doing this and doing that, that sounds good, but I just don't think it has enough political strength. I mean, to be on the ticket and add something to Trump is basically what I'm saying. Like, he's a good cheerleader for him. I'll take him on that, just like Tim Scott and everybody else. But to really strengthen the ticket and kind of bring some people over that Trump wasn't going to be able to reach out to, I don't see it. I think he has to go with a woman. I'll be honest with you. I think that they're getting ate up on abortion. If he doesn't get a woman that kind of leans toward that, Nikki Haley might be a little bit better because even though she has strong conservative ideas, she does lean a little bit more toward abortion and talk more toward it. I think that would help him out a little bit better. That's kind of what I'm thinking that would strengthen this ticket, that he would now win over maybe some of the middle of the road moms or whatever the case may be that kind of were leaning each way. Oh, well, Nikki Haley's there. She kind of supports abortion. Hell, I probably even voted for her in the primaries. Doug Burgum, nobody voted for Doug Burgum. Nobody even knew who he was. I'm saying? So
What do you think about like the that self-made status? How is that anything helpful to him or the base?
I think it's pro-business attitude because some people, that's why they said they voted for Trump the first time. They're like, well, he's different. He has a business, has business sense, and he's been successful. I think some people like that whole pro-business attitude, because I do believe in some things, some business aspects, I think, in life that you need to have a good understanding of, especially when it comes to the finances of the country or whatever. So I think possibly that could help him. He does have a strong support of bipartisan support. Like, he's willing to work with others. That I did like, because it does say that he's very bipartisan.
Yep.
He'll
I
reach
don't
across
believe
the
him.
aisle.
don't
They
believe him.
said, well, they've said that he
Man,
has
all you gotta
done
do is
that.
look up his
record
in North
does
Dakota.
show that he's bipartisan
has
for the
been.
most part. Again, I mean, in comparison to some of the others. So I think
I'm with Al.
with
I'm with
that,
Al Roden. I can't trust him, man.
oh, I understand. But I'm
You don't
just
have to
saying,
trust him. I mean, but you can look at the facts.
you can look at the
what
facts
he's
and
done.
right, and on what he has. So in that, I think he might be okay. I mean,
The state politics, though, I
Yeah,
think.
right.
I think, state
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah, states he has.
Yeah.
I mean, but that tends to carry over in
Right.
most cases. And
right. I can see
if
people.
they're able to reach across the aisle, then to get things done, then that's what they do. I mean, that's
Right.
his home base. I mean, he could flex out of that and not do it if he didn't want to for certain things, but I
Yeah.
think that's his home base. But to your point about the business people, I think there are some people who feel like they're business people and they relate
Right.
to business people being in politics and think
Mhm.
that some of those methodologies and practices that they utilize can be transitioned over into some of the
Mhm.
things that are happening in politics, and they value that. And I think that some of his base, or even people in the middle, might say, hey, well, now there's two different people working together. Like Trump, some people looked at him and said, oh, he's a self-made man. Well, your daddy gave you $1 million
Yeah,
and this,
see
that, and
what
the
I
other.
can do.
And they still voted for him because he's
Self-made.
different.
Right.
He's a businessman. This guy is a
Real
real
businessman. Right.
He sold his thing to Microsoft. That means he created a company that was worth
Mhm.
something. He's $100 million now after the fact.
Right.
So
Mhm.
he's executed. Trump, on the other hand, we know he's been sued 1,000,000 times for his business dealings. He had the I don't know, man.
Yeah.
He's gone
If
bankrupt.
anybody had
Yeah.
better business sense,
He
from the
would be
outside
it.
looking in, it would be Burgum.
It's been Burgum
Oh
over
yeah,
Trump.
no,
Right.
definitely. And no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He's very educated.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's, you can't take nothing away from his accolades and that. Yeah, he's an accomplished businessman. Government's so complicated. I just don't know what people kind of say. Well, we need a businessman to do that. No, we
It's a lot.
need a businessman to do part of it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
And I think
Right.
that's what they want, because no one in government does everything.
Yeah.
It's a team effort. Like,
Mhm.
when you go look at the president, ain't sitting up there making decisions by himself. He got a room full of people with him. He got staff. It is not a one-man job. It's a bunch of people giving him insight. Now, he got the last word, but
It depends.
he's a player in the room who can have influence. And I think that's what you want.
Yeah. So I mean, I just, Burgum, like I said, once again, I just ride on. I mean, like I said, personally, what he's done, great accomplishments, great businessman, did some great things. And like you said, yeah, he brings that aspect from it. And I can even see some voters kind of doing that. But I think that all these voters that kind of go, oh, he's a businessman. They did that with Ross Perot. They did that with Trump. You know what I'm saying? If that was easy, then
Nah. Trump's the only one that won with that shit.
yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like you said, Perot didn't win.
I'm just saying, but
Burgum didn't even get selected.
exactly. Kind of with that mentality, it's just like, I mean, I can see it, but it's just like the other thing. I think it's real superficial if you kind of look at it. I think you got to look at the whole thing.
Mhm.
So to your point, Ace, you talked about how, you mean, this dude, he's not like the most flamboyant. He's not like the most exciting dude in the world. So how do you think that Burgum's low drama and his reliable approach to governance would be an advantage over those more flamboyant potential candidates, Wanda?
Well, first of all, he's actually the 19th most popular state governor. So do understand that he's popular in whatever he is doing. His approval rating is at 56%. His disapproval, that means, is at 26% in North Dakota. Okay, so he says 93% approval among Republicans and large population of Democrats view him favorably. So even though he is a Republican, I mean, he's getting a very large, percentage of Democrats that would ride with him. Again, that pro-business attitude and those natures, and he's low-key personality compared to Trump. So I think they're like, he's kind of his, how you have like our relationship here. You got the flamboyant individual, and then there's one that's. I'm just kidding.
I wonder who that is.
Which one's flamboyant?
Depends.
I've seen y'all both flamboyant.
Yeah, I wonder who that
we
is.
can both play,
Yeah,
but you typically
and I've
have
seen
one
both of
that
y'all
will,
low key.
Yeah.
right. But you typically want to play on each other, right? So you got one in that position, and one's a little bit more quieter, at the time. So I think he brings that that low drama to that case. If you don't like Trump's flamboyancy and the things that he says, you may cater. Okay, well, look who his little side pieces over here that will help him just in case.
This sounds like Diddy and Meek Mills up in here.
Oh, hell no.
Hey, we don't know. They might have their secrets.
No.
But you know what I mean? Like I
hope
think
not.
he might cater to that side of him that people are like, oh, I can't stand Trump. But then you got a level head over here who's
Okay.
proved his success. And again, he has a high approval rating. Actually, I didn't know that either until I looked him up, and I was like, you're ranked number 19. So okay.
Okay,
You
well, I know another vice president that was low key and had a pretty good approval rating. Mike Pence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He's very conservative. He was
Yeah.
low key. He's smart.
He's
I can't remember,
extremely
he was-
conservative, though.
Yeah,
He's on the
I mean,
far right.
Mike Pence was what, a governor before he did that? What was he, a senator? I can't remember.
I thought he was a senator.
Look like a Barbie doll.
Yeah,
I don't
look
know.
that up. But either way it goes, and look how that ended for him. He had a whole bunch of excitement at the end of that fucking run. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They even asked. I saw an interview where they asked Burgum there, like, "Hey, like you want to be the vice president, but you know what happened to Mike Pence? You
Pence,
know what I'm
right?
saying? Like, you don't
good?
feel like how do you feel about that?" And he was on some. I mean, and a lot of I'm biased from an interview that I kind of saw Berman on, and he was just like horrible answers. You know what I'm saying? And so, but that's part of it. So I hear what you're saying, and it's like, okay, well, we'll get the low key guy because Trump's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But once again,
Governor of Indiana.
Thank you.
I knew he was a governor somewhere. But either way it is, I think that that's what went for him last time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it works for him this time, personally. And I don't think that if Trump doesn't get in there and try to address abortion somehow, probably put a woman in there, he's gonna have a hard time. That's the same playbook he had with Pence.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it won the first time, you know what I'm saying? But against Hillary
this time.
But I don't think it's gonna win this time.
Yeah.
People are upset.
You know what I think? I think you need to hit that like button. Okay. Also, you need to subscribe to Left-Wing Kingz and share this content on all of your social media platforms. Por favor. So, Walanda, how could Burgum's lack of political popularity hurt his chances to become VP?
Well, again, just like Adrian said, if you don't know him, you don't know anything about him, it's hard to vote for somebody if you don't have the information. So again, I had to go and research this.
Right.
I didn't know him either. Okay. So it's not that I'm just spitting out facts, is that I actually went and had to look up and find him and look at his stances and all that type of information. So with that case, I think it's going to hurt him if he doesn't get himself out there. Just like you said, you saw an interview. If he can't articulate his positions, if he can't answer questions eloquently, it's going to hurt him but you got Trump over here who, is loud and just rambunctious. So maybe that it may or may not, because they may see that as complimentary to him. But I think people don't know enough information about him. Know his state is actually doing very well. It has a low unemployment rate. He still has some issues with like climate change because he don't believe in that situation in North Dakota. But right. So there's some elements of him that, his state is actually doing pretty well in consideration. Do understand it is a smaller population, right? It's not your Texas or your New York or your California, where you have a larger population to do well and be successful in, but he's actually doing well in that state.
Yeah, man.
And that's with Republicans and Democrats.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not knocking them,
Right.
like I'm not trying to knock down North Dakota.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
No,
I feel like it's North Dakota.
I mean, I'm not trying to knock down North Dakota or anything like that. But all I'm saying is, from a standpoint, once again, we talk about president and vice president.
Right.
And you have to have this from a real broad approach.
I agree.
And you come from a state that is not that populated. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he's against climate change in a state that, come on, it's a natural conservative state. It's got a lot of beautiful parks and stuff like that. Don't have a big population. So can he really relate to somebody?
Some of the problems
some of the
that everybody else
thing?
has. Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a lot of times, because we have this push towards, and it was done on purpose politically, like the rural
is
lifestyle
running,
or whatever, and like we've been left out type of deal, and I think he supports a little bit of that more than anything else. And like the cities are just horrible and crime is up, and and believe it or not, from a black standpoint, that's like being racist, because most black people live in city population. When you say crime is up, crime is, we take it now as another way of saying things about black people. You know what I'm saying? So is he from that standpoint? When Republicans come out and say, hey man, we got to do something about crime. You live in a gated community. What are you talking about crime? Oh, you talking about the black people, that side. We need to clean up crime. We need to clean up those communities that have all this crime in here. We need to clean up the big cities when they're saying that. Because that's where black people, and that's where the minorities live. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them don't live in the rural areas. So you're talking about a governor that comes from a mostly rural country, a country state, there's probably what? I don't know the numbers. I'm pretty sure it's
pretty low.
No, I'm saying I'm pretty sure it's over 50% white. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
the
saying?
demographics.
Every state's over 50%.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but
it's a higher, yes.
He doesn't have a big
diversity is lacking.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't,
He's correct.
I don't.
Right.
I can't think of my geography, but I can't think of the big city in North Dakota. But
Bismarck.
Minot.
Bismarck.
Military. Yeah.
Like,
but it's a lack of diversity. You're correct in that statement.
I don't know no niggas from North Dakota. Do you? I've never met a nigga that said, yo, I'm from North Dakota. I've met nobody that said I'm from North Dakota.
I'm pretty sure there's
I'm pretty sure there is. I'm pretty sure there is. But what I'm getting at is,
you think of them like Utah, that's what you see. North Dakota.
You can run to a Salt Lake City, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I grew up, my dad was in the military. I'm from Salt Lake. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't never heard nobody say they're from North Dakota.
84% white.
Yeah.
3.85%.
So all I'm saying is, like, yeah, it's diversity. And even when I see him rocking, like, where's he coming from? Because like, you too strong on a stance on some things that, like, when I'm hearing him doing an interview, like he has no opinion. He's just doing the Trump playbook. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I just think that from a popularity standpoint, man, politics is a popularity game anyway. A lot of it, like Trump, if he wasn't like on TV and people didn't know him from all of the real estate shit, he couldn't have never even had a chance of running, much less winning when he won. It's really a big popularity game, and I don't think Doug Burgum helped his popularity any. Even though he's been like, he tried to be in the primaries and stuff, he didn't really perform well, like you said. Interviews, he's not performing well. But even though he has all of these positive things from a politics standpoint, like his record speaks for itself, he just doesn't have that charisma or the things that are going to help him from a popularity standpoint. So I want to close this out. Lastly, but not least, you talked about this a little bit, Ace. Burgum isn't popular, but he's known in North Dakota. They love him. Like you said, Wallanda, he's like the 19th most popular. His ratings are great, but his state only gets 3 electoral votes. So based on the population, right? So could this be the nail in his coffin? I mean, does Trump want to take a risk again, like somebody who's only going to give him 3 votes and nothing else? 3 electoral votes and nothing else.
Whoever's sitting on this political team, I mean, I think not just Trump, but if you're looking at it, we're just talking about politics and numbers and trying to get the presidency. I think that does hurt him. He doesn't get him to 278 any faster. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guarantee you he can find somebody that's in the swing state that, like I said, Nikki Haley, that kind of really plays toward moderates a little bit more, challenged them. She's had some positive stances on abortion, talking towards it. Even though they don't feel that way, at least she's playing the game on it. And I think she just comes with more value compared to where you get a Doug Burgum. Like I said, once again, he's just a cheerleader, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's saying the same thing Trump is. He's talking to the same base. He's saying the right things for them. He hasn't said anything to talk to a moderate or independent to make them think, for a minute there, and being the one independent in the room, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I like Nikki Haley until she started just going off and just saying slavery wasn't existing and shit. But other than that, when she
I like
first came out, I was like, okay, that's the one. That if I was gonna lean to Republicans, I would listen to her. And then she just started going off on the tangent. But outside of that and her politics and what she's talking about,
You can get around.
she lined a little bit better with moderates and independents. He don't. He lines all the way still to, on the red side. And I just don't see him, helping them out to get to the presidency, especially when he only carries 3 electoral votes.
Yeah.
Right. What I was going to say is, I think yes and no. I'm going back and forth because I was like, oh, well, 3 electoral votes. But you got to think of what other states are like your North Dakota. Like you said, he's speaking for that minority voice. So I think all the minority voices may get in line because they're like, well, he's like us. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm the little state. I need somebody to speak for me. So I think on that pick, he might get
Good
it might be a
point.
good thing because you got now that minority voice to speak to them and help out with that, whatever problems that they have. Because again, we do forget the minority and we know how it feels to be forgotten because, we as people have been forgotten in a lot of things. I do think he's going to have a problem with the diversity part. People can say whatever they want, but people get excited around diversity. You got to look at when Barack Obama became president. I mean, he was the big. Everybody was excited. Everybody, black, white,
Not
Italian.
everybody.
Well, I'll put it this way, a lot of
Not the Tea Party.
diverse populations. Well, we know we brought out the ugly, but there's a lot of people who are happy, Same thing with the woman's voice. People get excited to see a woman. People are tired of the old status quo. And sorry, but our country's not necessarily getting better for it. So what we've always known is a white male runs the country. A white male runs the country. A white male runs the country. And now we can say, actually, it can be a black male. It could be a woman. It could be a Hispanic lady. It could be whatever. People get excited about the change in that. I think they're embracing it. I think people do see success. And we've seen success, right, in our daily lives with these individuals being in power. I do think people have gotten more comfortable with it. Now, of course, we still got the oldies that hate it. But there are some people, I think it does, put shines a light like, hey, I can also be the president of the United States. These young ones growing up are like, that could be me one day. I think we used to think that would never be. I never thought that I would have an opportunity to be the president of the United States. But me seeing those changes, I'm like, that could have been me. Or it could still be me, or I can do these things. So I think in that light, he's gonna have an issue with that because he doesn't bring that, lack of diversity. But he does speak for the minority in his position of the little 3 electoral votes.
Yeah. Well,
So.
2 guys who bring some diversity to the hip hop game are Kendrick Lamar and Drake. So there's a sizzling topic in the world of hip hop music, and it's the Drake and Kendrick beef. The feud has the internet ablaze right now. So it all started with Kendrick's verse on Like That, where he didn't hold back, throwing jabs at Drake and J. Cole. Drake responded with push-ups where he belittled Kendrick's status as a rap legend. So Ace, is this beef promotional? Is it about legacy and the throne of hip-hop or something else?
I think it's a mixture of all of that, man, that you say that. I think it does have a little bit dealing with the legacy. Look, I'm not trying to sound like old rap guy from the 80s. I know I can do that. I can start talking about
okay.
We're gonna get there. We're
gonna talk about all that.
But I'm trying to really be open-minded to this and not let my age show other than on my beard. But I think it's a little bit of both. I think it is because of legacy, where these guys are, where they're in their careers, and kind of like, and I think of it a little bit like when Muhammad Ali in the 70s, they used to fight Ken Norton and
Joe Frazier,
and Grill,
George Foreman.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of them are heavyweights, and they all took on those fights back when we were growing up in the late 70s and early 80s, and it made boxing great. And I think that's kind of a spin on it a little bit. We're gonna take on the big heads. That's what I'm hoping that what it is. I think it is getting a little personal. But then I also think it's somewhat fabricated and promotional. And that's just because of the atmosphere, because of social media and all that makes it really like that. So I think it's a combination of both.
Definitely. Definitely generational. I had to go read a lot on this one because I was like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm sorry. I'm more than like your era too. So I remember
Wu-Tang, she
Tupac.
Wu-Tang in there.
Yeah, you know, Tupac and Biggie. So I was like, what is the problem with these young men? But I did come find out doing my research that it comes back from November 2011, actually, when Lamar was actually put on by Drake. So I kind of almost feel like it's like a, you know, when I think of girls, like they had little besties and now they ain't friends no more. That's the kind of take I got. You know, I was like, oh, so you big mad. And mind you, you know, I'm into the horoscope. So Kendrick Lamar is a Gemini, and I know how we roll.
Oh,
And then
wow.
the other one is a Scorpio.
I didn't know
And
she
I
was a
know how to,
Gemini,
yeah,
bro.
oh, definitely. So be scared of me.
Jesus, Sean. How
And
long
we're
y'all been married?
petty.
To two people. You've been married to
25.
two people for that long.
Yeah.
Yes. He loves them both.
We'll
But-
talk later, bro. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
You see that look on his face? He was like, no, not that other one.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the take I took on it was like, okay, so what happened with this relationship? Because we're loyal for the most part. And I think Kendrick came from a place of like, okay, I just want to be good at what we do, because we want to be good at what we do. And I think I got a little personal because the other one's a Scorpio and they sensitive. So I think they got stung. And that's where I came from. I was like laughing as I was reading through some of these
I'm
things in
staying
the
away from that
lyrics.
Scorpio
But
comment, man.
sorry, but they're a little bit more sensitive, and we're not. We're very petty. So when you come for us, make sure you come in, because we don't stop, and then people's feelings get hurt, and we're like, oh, we're done with you now. So I think that's what I read through that whole.
You read a lot, didn't you?
I did,
Yeah,
but it
you
started
got
in
in.
2011, you know,
Yeah.
and it ended now. So it's been a long time coming. I think that relationship, I think it hurt. I think people got their feelings hurt. I do. I think people's feelings. I think they genuinely. Drake was like, hey, I put you on. Like, why are you coming for me? Like, I made this platform for you. And he was like, well, you shouldn't have put me on. This is what I do. I want to be good at what I do. And I think Drake took it a little bit more personal, and then it really got personal. But yeah, it's been real interesting. My
Yeah.
take. Sorry, the female version.
It's all good. I got another question for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you did your research, you looked
Yeah.
into it, and I'm pretty sure like we've heard some of the songs that they had.
Mhm.
So, how does this beef compare to a beef of our generation, like the East Coast, West Coast beef rivalry?
Like I said, I think they're a little bit more soft and girly kind of thing, because I'm sorry, it's like the soft boy era for me, but
Soft.
the soft boy,
era.
soft guy, you know.
Yeah.
So August 2013, Kendrick takes aim at Drake, right, on Big Sean's Control, and he says, I got love for you all, but again, I'm not a rapper, so I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you niggas, trying to make sure your core tracks never heard of you niggas. And I'm like, okay, that's not, ain't really hurt my feelings. It's just saying like, look, I got love for you, but I'm trying to be number one. Okay, so then moving along, December comes along and Drake got to say something, and he has his little diss track. And then 2015, 2016, subtle shots at each other. And I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, I guess I don't get it. I like the lyrics. October 2023, J. Cole and Drake link up on their first person shooter. And now we're in 2024, and Kendrick goes full attack mode, right? Because that's the Gemini for you. And he just starts getting real personal, you know, like the big three niggas this, and I guess that's J. Cole and the other two dudes. He punctuated his verse by calling back to Drake's For All His Dogs album. So he rapped, for all you dogs getting buried, that's a something nines, he's gonna see Pet Cemetery. Like, you're not trying to kill him? Like, I'm lost. I was like, so I was like, first
I'm
you was
lost.
friend, and now we're trying to kill each other. 2024, like you said, the push-ups on there, and then it got real personal because now Kendrick's saying like, you know, hey, you on one of his songs was talking about how he's on his family and stuff, and then that he's, you know, playing with pedophiles, and he got issues with alcohol and gambling. And when he went to the pedophile thing, I was like, man, slick mouth Gemini, here we go. But they probably might be some truth to that, because we'll tell you the truth, but we'll tell it you in a slick
anything
way.
on the table, Diddy out there, man. There's all kinds of shit.
So that's
They got
real
niggas-
right. That's real
Yeah.
personal. That happened in May 4th. And I was like, okay, so something really turned on them, because first it was like little funny little lyrics and stuff like that, just like I'm better than you kind of thing. I can deal with that, you know. I like to play competition. But then now you're talking about his gambling, his clothes, who he hangs out with, calling him a pedophile, saying you like young girls. That's one of his lyrics. And I was
So
like,
you
that's
said
hurtful.
how they seem softer, but
Yeah.
that don't seem soft
I
to
was
me.
gonna jump on
And
that.
then I'm kind of like too, like
it's petty.
comparing that to East Coast West Coast rivalry. I'm kind of like, that sounds like they're going harder than
No. Because they did now. So that's why I think the difference. They did. And they still live.
Let's take it back to like hip hop beefs, like
right.
back
They used
in the
to
day.
say crazy stuff.
So no, like in the 80s, you know, Roxanne. If you want to talk about you know the Juice Crew and BDP and all that,
I'll take it, man.
We talked about this earlier. Like back in the 80s when rap was young, it was really pushing the culture because it came from a battle area. You know, so rap started from battles and shit like that. So when people was going back and forth, yeah, it was people were doing it, but it was really like to push the culture. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I even think of like The Bridge Is Over and all that stuff. You know, they weren't really coming personally like an MC Shan and shit. They said some things, but
that's what I'm saying. Like,
oh, you think it's more personal? Okay, yeah, I agree.
Especially so the East Coast West Coast rivalry.
Somebody personally,
but the East Coast West Coast, because that's what we comparing this to, right? I'm comparing it to East Coast West Coast.
And I was going back
Pac
to the
and Biggie.
Yeah,
right.
Them niggas was going at each other hard.
Yeah,
they talking about fucking your wife.
Yeah,
shit like that,
and then die.
That exactly. That's hard. They was going at each other for real. So I see. It depends on who it is in that beef, right? Because the East Coast West, that's a huge.
Yeah,
there's a whole lot of people involved in that. But the main two players was Biggie and Pac.
Yeah,
and they went at each other hard. Like, what's beef and. You know, all of the songs that they did, that shit was really real. And what I hear you saying right now is
it's moving that
started
direction.
Off soft.
Yes.
But somebody angry.
Yeah,
somebody mad now.
But let's also understand the East Coast West Coast battle. The underlying battle of that. No, the underlying battle of that was
who was better.
Well, no, East Coast had ran hip hop forever.
Right.
And Death Row was now running hip hop pretty much, and they were like the number one thing. So that kind of fell into
who's better.
And it was really sides. Like not only were Biggie and Tupac, they were just the ones on top.
Right.
But like East Coast dudes who went from the East Coast to go perform on the West Coast and vice versa, they caught real beef when they went over there because they were trying to say, well, the East Coast rap is better. We've been here longer. And the West Coast is what it is now. So that's that was a whole.
And then you had the South Outcast on their war show.
But they didn't care about nobody.
And the South, we benefited from that beef. Like I said, that beef, then the South kind of came out. So I mean, that
different.
But that was really a deeper thing.
Yeah,
I think what you're talking about here now is, like I said, in the 80s, it was like pushing the culture. That's kind of where we came from. That's where the beef stuff started from anyway. West Coast, it got out of proportion. East Coast, West Coast thing. And now I think it's fueled by a couple of things. One, like you say, it was just on like, you know, I'm the best. I'm trying to prove I'm the best. Now it's personal, but it gets more personal because social media now is there. You know what I'm saying? So now you can not only beef, but you can post shit.
Yep.
You can go say shit on social media. Social media gets behind it and they start making memes and shit. So now it's just now multiplied by 10.
Right.
Compared to like, I remember they was having beefs like Roxanne Shante. We hear about that shit 3 weeks later and shit. Like we didn't, you know what I'm saying?
I know you were mad.
Now that shit is instant. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why it's a multitude of a lot of things. Like I said, I think it was purposeful, like in the 80s, because that's just where the culture was at.
Right. So you bring up the
90s got out of hand. You know?
Yeah, you bring up the 80s. So how does the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef compare to Kumo D and LL Cool J?
I think, you know, it's similar like this. Kumo D and LL Cool J. And Kumo D kind of represented the old school party hip hop, and LL Cool J was the up and coming swag MC, which I think that he invented that. That's kind of what LL did. And that was where the clash was, because where Kumo D was trying to keep that kind of hip hop style going, LL Cool J was changing it. And it was kind of like a battle of number one. All right. So I think that's kind of like with Kendrick and Drake right now. It's kind of like Drake's been out for a minute. I kind of bought you up and blah, blah, blah. That's kind of where it's similar. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's just different because I think that we needed that like that back in the day. This really benefits them. You know what I'm saying? Don't benefit the culture none. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But back in the day, it made it popular, not only with us, but it kind of made it popular everywhere with that battle.
It started to become more pop.
Exactly. Like with them, it's just, and then with them kind of getting personal now, it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's, you know, I guess it's entertaining, like I say, to be honest with you, but it's really them now going for their own thing compared to the culture. You know what I'm saying? So
definitely agree. I think this to me, the Kendrick Lamar thing, to me is just pure entertainment and more career making for them, but more on a personal level. And I do think, I definitely agree with you. I think it's more cultural, making it more aware, like, hey, we can diversify our styles and still be on top. Like, people still gonna rock with Cool Mo D, and they're also gonna rock with me too, LL Cool J. So I don't think that beef was, to me, a little bit different. Now they're getting so personal and just getting so ugly to each other. But back in 2011, 2013, 2014, it wasn't like that with them. They just had lyrics, going battling each other. To me, it seemed like that movie, one of those movies, like the Eminem movie, and they're battle rapping. Okay, I can deal with that. But now it has moved definitely in a more personal direction. It doesn't really state like what happened with Kendrick, like what triggered him. Because I'm saying we just not just mean. So something happened, I think, between those two to where it veered in that more personal light.
And
because they were friends. You could clearly say they were always together. I mean, that was 2011. Every year they had something going on, and Drake was putting them on. I think Drake maybe became the student instead of the teacher. Maybe he didn't like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and you just don't know what's real anymore when it comes to
Right.
the social media. Like, a lot of it's clickbait stuff. Like, let me go say things so I can get enough clicks and blah, blah, blah. And I can get, I get popularity raised on social
Right.
media. Like, who knows? They ain't called each other and said, we're just gonna go at each other. They just be crazy just so we can, we
Right.
can,
Be on.
have relevance. Because at the end of the day, in the story, people are going to Spotify or whatever and downloading these songs. People are
Getting attention.
clicking on YouTube, and they probably monetized on that or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. So there's some financial gain of being assholes to each other and having a beef right now.
Yeah.
True enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
I would like it if we got monetized.
yeah, sure.
So click that like button and subscribe to
Mhm.
Left-Wing Kingz so that you don't miss any of this content, and make sure that you share it to all of your social media platforms out
Me
there.
and Malik will start a beef if that's what it takes.
Hey, let's get it. So
That's not nice.
I like the guy.
to your point, man, about social media, right? It's a powerful thing, man. And has everything just shifted? Like, this whole beef thing shifted to an ego thing for social media more than an actual beef?
Yeah, let's think about it, man. We were just on here a couple of weeks ago talking about the girls having beef. Everybody's got beef now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like this and that. And some of it may come from a real place and realistic, but let's be real. A lot of it comes from they can push social media through that. And that's the driving force of it. You know what I'm saying? Sexy Red got beef with somebody now. We know 50 Cent always got fucking beef with somebody. You know what I'm saying? And we know he's a genius at this shit. You know what I'm saying? So like that all counts. I mean, you say this all the time when we talk about what we do. Negative is just as good as positive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if we can keep it going, that causes relevance now. You know what I'm saying? You're relevant if people are talking about you, regardless if it's good or it's bad. So that's what makes us come in question now. How real is this beef? Back in the day, we didn't have that question because we didn't have that. That's the thing. Like, we knew they had beef. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? And when they came out with records, that was real beef. And when they talked about it in the news, that was real beef. Now it's just like, how we know they ain't sitting next to each other writing this shit? We don't know. You know what I'm saying?
They be coming out fast.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. And that's why it's like, is it really beef? You know what I'm saying? Like, but like you say, it's starting to get personal, and some things is like off limits. You know what I'm saying? And they starting to go where it's off limits, where nigga, I'm gonna hit you on, I'm gonna get you on sight, nigga. Like, when I see you, like you done cross the line. Yeah. And I don't think they want to go there, man.
Yeah, I think the accusations of the domestic violence and the whole pedophilia thing, I think it definitely took a turn. And they did say that Drake's bodyguard was shot at Drake's house. So I think, if they don't get under control, it does look like a Biggie, Tupac type of situation. But I think originally it was friendly fire, like, who's the best, and that, like I said, brought relevancy to them. It actually brought them career status, because Kendrick Lamar, I didn't know who he was at first until I guess Drake started putting him on, and you start hearing more and more. So he was trying to be in that limelight, but I think now we definitely have turned for the worse, especially with the how the culture is right now and everything. That whole pedophilia thing, that's not funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he made a lot of accusations, or maybe it is true and he's like, I don't want to be a part of that. Right. I don't know. Like, I'm removing myself from this environment, but here I am. I'm gonna make some money off of it too by spreading some truth and some facts and in my lyrics. I don't know.
Well, these guys blur lines. We know these entertainers when it comes to these underage girls and fans and stuff like that.
Being known women.
Yeah, who knows how true that is?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I know Drake bought him out. I know that Kendrick Lamar kind of comes from the school of Dr. Dre also, so I don't know how that actually combines. But like, I don't know why they, pedophilia. I don't know why they getting that personal with it. Like, I just, it used to be just about like lyrics and what we're doing, and even if you talked a little shit about, no, mama, not your mama, but if you just talked a little shit about the person or whatever, cracked a little joke, it was still like all in entertainment. You know what I'm saying? But now, like I said, you call people pedophiles. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing I do want to say about the social media aspect is like, as an entertainer or a public figure of any kind, social media allows you to control the narrative. It allows you to tell the story that you want to tell, and that they're leveraging it for, like you said, likes, views. They get to push the content out to the public that they want to have. They don't got to wait for no media company. They don't got to wait for no news company. They don't got to wait for anything. They control it.
Yeah.
And with that comes, hey, what songs we gonna do? Which snippet of the song we gonna put out there for people to hear? We don't got to put the whole song out there. It's a little snippet, a little piece of my video where I say this or whatever, and it allows them to have complete control over their message. And we didn't have that before. So I think that causes beef to be more promotional than anything else, because that's social media promotes your product. So that's what they're doing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it gets it direct to the source. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Gets it right to where you want it. So now they're gonna go out there to, like you said, to Spotify and listen to your song or whatever, because oh shit, he said that. Let me go check this out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they get more plays or whatever the case may be. So I think a lot of it is promotional. And to your point, there's history behind it. So some of it's got to be true. They got to be some real feelings involved in it. But it probably started off more promotional, and now it's just like anything else. Like my wife be dealing with kids at school. These motherfuckers start playing around, and one guy pushes some guy, the other guy pushes the other guy back. Next thing you know, the one guy, I was assaulted. Nah, nigga, you was playing. Y'all was playing, and then you got pushed too hard, and you didn't like that shit.
And now
now you making a rap album about this motherfucker.
Yeah. Now y'all got beef and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, nah, y'all didn't. Nigga, that ain't real beef. Nigga, you started off playing games. And I think these two dudes started off playing games, doing some promotional shit. Somebody got that, and now they spilled everything, spilled the beans, or whatever it's called, and threw that shit out there.
I think they victims of the ooh. You know, if you it's like
ooh,
these niggas say ooh,
like
then ooh, and all of a sudden they in the middle of some shit. You got to out ooh the nigga. You know what I'm saying?
You got to out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Wanda, with that being the case, I want to close this out real quick, but I got one more question for the crew. So, how are hip hop beefs of today better than hip hop beefs of the 80s and 90s?
Yeah. It's hard for me because generationally, I'm gonna rock with Tupac and Biggie, not more so Kendrick Lamar and them. But I do think it's more frequent. Like if I look at all the dates, it's like May 3rd, May 4th, May 6th, May 7th, May 8th. I think it's more in your face, like every single day there's something else coming out, kind of things. So I think the frequency is there, the relevancy is there, which may make it better, and it's more in your face. Again, career making, obviously. Again, like I said, I didn't know too much about Kendrick Lamar, but now that I looked and I listened to him, I think he's a lyricist, and I see why people gravitate. I think there's more on the perspective of artistic, I guess, kind of thing. Like you said on the social media, I don't know. I'm trying. It's hard for me to answer that question because, again, I just feel like I'm more old school kind of rap and more interested. But I do see the frequency and the entertainment piece of it. On social media, not to bring somebody else in, but I think when they talk about like what's his name, Breezy, when he came out with his little rap thing, I really wanted to hear it. Yeah. Chris Brown, I said, "Oh, he got beef, and let me hear his rap," and I really enjoyed it. So I think it's creating, I guess, kind of a vibe to kind of, he did. Yeah, I thought we were going to talk about him, but anyways, but
I don't think they want gravitation. I don't think they want Chris Brown problems.
He's kind of crazy, but I think on that end. It makes it a little bit more intriguing. I think it got sad because I really like Tupac and Biggie, and here we are with two great artists who are no longer here, and they lost their lives early in their 20s when I was trying to grow up.
Well, let's say Puffy and Suge had something to do with it. Who knows how that Biggie thing should be? Especially with with them two behind it. So we'll leave it at that. Let me wrap it up with this, man. here's the deal. I'll be honest with you. I haven't really been deep following this Drake and Kendrick Lamar. I like them both. I just don't really think it's believable. I think it's a little more promotional. I think it's a little more social media driven. But let me put that on this. You want to talk about comparing it to the old ones. Juice Crew dropped a song called "The Bridge," MC Shan, and it was epic, dope back in the days, hip hop. And I know we're talking about the '80s. Some of you niggas wasn't here. Some of you niggas, your mamas wasn't here. So let's be real. You know what I'm saying? But go listen to "The Bridge" by MC Shan, right? And the Juice Crew ran everything. They ran hip hop back in the day. Then BDP dropped "The Bridge Is Over," right?
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, if I hear "The Bridge Is Over," a chill runs down my spine. And guess what, nigga? I'm not even from New York or the Bronx, nigga. So that was power, nigga.
You're right.
That was epic. You know what I'm saying? That was a beef. That was a hip hop beef. And that invented what a hip hop beefs probably looked like. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even from the city, and we just learned it. We didn't even understand what rap was. We were just starting to get to know it. But when he dropped "The Bridge Is Over" after "The Bridge," and that was just done. So, I mean, I'm not knocking what they doing now. But I think that's the intent and the power of what a beef really does in hip hop if it's done right. And I'll end it at that.
The only thing I will add to that is a beef when it's done wrong will lead you to where you touched on Biggie and Pac. And that's the one thing that I will say is better for society or for Black males, is that it's probably less likely to end in death today because we lost two people and we learned from that. Even though what's his name, his bodyguard was shot at, I think they're a lot more careful about getting to that point because they know they could die. We don't want beef to turn into murder like back in the day. So that's the one thing I would think is better today than back in the days. We have hindsight and we can say, we don't want that. We going too far. We gonna have to shake hands, be men, and just move on because we don't want to die because of this. Because we got crazy people out there who go to baseball fields when politicians are playing and shoot up the fields. We got people that go to concerts in Las Vegas and shoot from their hotel room down on the people. We got people who will act a certain way based on people who they like.
Which is crazy.
And you have to stop this before it gets to something like that. So.
Man, East Coast, West Coast beef. There's a lot of crooked actors in that shit. Like they had Crips and Bloods and all types of shit. So it's very more intricate than just the beef that was on there, but it grew from that. So
exactly. And to that end, to the same point, a lot of people got involved and they didn't have enough understanding to say, I'm really gonna die from this. They didn't think that. And like you said, you was 20, so was they. They were still trying to learn to grow up. They were still young men, 20.
I say that all 23.
The time. They wasn't old, man.
I was a teenager. They were 20.
When they showed Tupac in that Las Vegas video, he was 5. I think it was 23 or 24.
He was young.
I'm like,
we was all fighting like that back then. Like
these is dudes that
drink some Cisco, a Mad Dog. They was beating up everybody.
They wasn't even 30 years old. They hadn't even gotten to live a life yet.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Over a lyric.
Yeah. Like if they had cameras following me around, everybody was all types of shit.
Craziness, bro. I'm for real. But I mean, with that being the case, man, I want to thank everybody out there in the world of YouTube for checking us out. We had Kay Zaggin in the house. We had Al Roden. We had Dion Navy. We had Steve McClinton. So thank you guys for joining us. I want to thank Tina for holding me down, making sure the comments and the timings was on point as possible with these crazy conversations. We went over on every one, but I think it was all worthwhile because these conversations are fantastic.
That's because we've been gone, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. They were great conversations, man. I want to thank Ace for always holding it down, giving us that great perspective, man. I want to thank my queen Walanda for always holding down the stats and the news and all the information, like doing the research, man. Some of us ain't willing to do because sometimes I don't do that much research, but she do. So she keeps us on point and keeps us on the facts.
I can say it, but I can't spell it. So we know who the smart one is.
Hey, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you not next week because we got our son's wedding next weekend, but weekend after that we will be back. So we'll be see back. You then.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.